Hey everyone, welcome back to Make the Music. Today we're on part 3 of our series. We're building out a song from scratch. We've gone over creating a song idea. We've kind of built out the entire song in a scratch track form. That was the last video. You can see those in the playlist. Now we're getting into drums. And so we're going to figure out what kind of drum arrangement I want for this song, how I go about building it out, some of the layering aspects of it. So let me know, how's your song going so far? Leave a comment down below. I'd like to hear if you're following along with this challenge, and please like and subscribe to the channel so you can continue to see me build out an entire song from scratch all the way up to release. I'm going to be releasing this song out on my streaming platform. So let's check out the DAW and see what I've been doing so far. So for the drum arrangement for this track, I had something unique in mind. This is more of like a pop rock sort of situation here. And so what I want to do is really add lots of interesting dynamics and layers to this drum arrangement. It's not just going to be one drum kit through the whole thing. I really wanted to create a lot of interest. And so now that I've mapped out the song in the scratch track period, I have an idea of what the dynamics are going to be throughout this entire track with my acoustic guitar that I tracked here. Right, we can see the different sections. So I know what the dynamics of the performance is going to be like. So here's how I went about creating the drums. I started here with the Easy Drummer 3 kit for some of the basic pieces. I added some additional samples here. I have some clap and stomp samples that I utilized. And then I went back with Easy Drummer 3 and added some shaker and tambourine pieces and even a reverse crash. I'm going to take you through that here in the intro part. I just wanted a simple 4 on the floor kick drum, but I didn't just go with one kick drum. I wanted the sound to really be full. So I used the Easy Drummer 3 kick and tom here. I just basically went to Easy Drummer 3, looked up some of the grooves, maybe made a modification to it and imported it into my DAW. So that's what that sounds like. Then the tom is an expand patch, the Thunder drums. I love this patch in expand, and that really added some cool ambience to this. And then I have this dragon kick sample that I got from a sample pack. It's really roomy sounding, kind of sounds like a bunch of people stomping, right? And so all those combined create a really interesting dynamic early on. So like if I didn't have the tom and the sample, yeah, that works, but it's kind of underwhelming for what I'm going for. That was a lot better. And so that's what kind of continues through the whole verse. Kind of builds up. I'm not adding too many layers early on. A lot of mistakes people make with drums is they add too many layers early on in verse 1 or the intro, and then there's nowhere for the track to go. You really want your track to look like this reverse triangle almost, where we have more layers at the very end of the track. So the end of the track sounds bigger and more epic. So I only have a few layers going on in the beginning part. Then I added a small little clap sample here as the snare drum in this verse section. Nothing too over the top, but you put all this together, we've got a robust verse section, but nothing that's going to be anything like the final chorus. And these are really just sort of the foundation of creating out an interesting arrangement, especially with your drum tracks. For the pre-chorus, remember I wanted to drop out if we looked at last video. So there's no drums in that section except for a reverse crash. This was just simply a crash sample. Then a Reaper, if you right click, you can go item properties and reverse. That's what I did here. I have the reverse crash coming in before the big sections and right when the track finishes here. That sample sounds like this. Really simple, right? Just helps it build and kind of flow into the next section. If we look at chorus 1, I have an Easy Drummer kit, but we've changed up the pattern, and I may go more in depth with this pattern as I add on more tracks. So what you're seeing here is likely going to be most of the drum production, but as I finish out the rest of the track here, add bass, add guitars, vocals, I may want certain accents on the drums, so I'm not going to render down my MIDI yet. That's just a stock Easy Drummer groove. I still have the tom going, I have the dragon kick, then I added this stomp track in the chorus to even fill out that low end even more. Really adds a nice percussive element to it. Then I added a couple more claps here. Those have a little more reverb and attack to them, so then the chorus drums sound like this. In the mix stage, I might compress them, I might add some reverb to make them sound even bigger. But that was the idea. Post-chorus here, we're kind of back to that 4 on the floor thing. But now we've gotten rid of the clap, so there's a little bit of a change up there. Verse 2, all we're doing is adding in that drag and stomp, so similar to verse 1, but then there's that additional stomp in there. Again, pre-chorus 2, dropping out. Except for that cymbal swell. Chorus 2, what a really great trick is that you should add to your productions immediately is shakers and tambourines. They add instant energy to your drum arrangements, to your song arrangements. They're in basically every major recording, and they don't really take up a lot of sonic space, but they just add that feel to the track. So I used a shaker, this is just MIDI from Easy Drummer 3. So if you go to Easy Drummer 3, here, percussion, I'm just using the stock shaker, right? Really simple stuff. I do this all the time. They have a number of different combinations of grooves in there. This one I felt worked well. You can hear that shaker in the left channel. The listener's not really going to notice it in a conscious aspect, but they're going to feel the energy pick up in the track. Then the bridge, I wanted the percussion to kind of drop out a little bit. So I still have the tom going on. The drums, as we discussed in the last video, switch to a tom groove. I'm not sure if that groove is going to be the same. I want to hear what the bridge is going to be like when I track the rest of the instruments. I may change it up, make it slower, make it faster, change some of the hits. So that's not a 100% guarantee, but this is basically what I was going for there. And then I have all the layers all in as we kind of swell into this final chorus. Then notice I added a tambourine in the right channel. You can use a sample, or then again, Easy Drummer 3, grooves, percussion, tambourine, just add it in there. You know, you can try and demo some of the grooves that they have. I just went with basically like a straight, I think it's hitting on the 2 there or something like that. Just really adding the energy now in the right channel. Now you can really get over the top here with this drum production. I may add a few more layers, some more reverb layers or things like that. But the key for a punchy drum sound in any recording is making sure that you have the correct layers and you have them turned up loud. When you add too many layers, too many things, it can start to sound mushy, it can start to sound disconnected or even confusing to the listener. So don't try and go way too over the top. Be very strategic, but be okay with adding things if they add something to the track. But if you mute it, you can't tell it was there before, it probably isn't doing a whole lot. So when I layer kick drums, for instance, I want to make sure there's a specific purpose to that kick drum. So like, for example, if I layer a stomp in there, I want to make sure this is filling out the low end or this is adding punch or something like that. I won't add 3 stomp layers that are all doing the same thing. It's really just going to kind of be redundant. They're all going to be fighting each other when you go to mix them, and it's just not really going to be satisfying for the final track. Same thing with the claps and things. You can get away with snare and clap layers, a few more layers like that. You can get away with that for sure. But then again, if you have 2 or 3 identical clap layers that are really kind of the same, you're going to lose that transient impact, and it's all going to kind of glue and mesh together. So that's really my approach for building out these drum tracks. I have them all in here, and then we have that cymbal swell heading into the outro. And the track just kind of ends right there. So that is me building out my drums, percussion section for this track. With that basically finished up, I'm going to move into bass guitars, acoustic guitars, electric guitars. That's going to be next in terms of my layering. Then we're going to move virtual instruments and vocals, but that's what's coming up next. Let me know, how's your drum recording, tracking, layering going on your track? Did these tips help you out, give you some ideas? I hope they did. Like I said here, be willing to, or be open to, the rest of the track informing your drum decisions. So I know this is probably going to be 80 to 90% of my drum decisions. But as I track things, bass, guitars, there may be certain accents that I come up with as I go along, or maybe there's hits that get in the way of the vocals. And then I may go back and modify MIDI or modify the different samples that I have there. Be open to that. Before, sometimes I would track all my drums in MIDI and then render them out and I was done. I wasn't going to touch them until I tracked the rest of the track. And I found that sometimes some of the drum parts needed to be different and I wasn't going the extra mile there. So I'm leaving this all in MIDI for now. When I go to mix it, of course, then I'm going to render it all down. But be open to making changes as you gain inspiration as you go along in this track. So thank you so much for watching. I hope these tips were helpful. Like and subscribe so you can continue along with this challenge. I hope your track is coming out well. And anyways, I'll see you guys next time.